This video is going to be a film study look at the Seattle Seahawks premiere, or the defensive debut, that is, in week 1 of the preseason. They went into LA and really dismantled the Chargers offense that was playing without key players. I'll cover that a little bit more here in a moment. But an interesting dynamic, I think, has to be mentioned, or I'm sure it's talked about already. Mike McDonald, as a new head coach, first-year head coach, taking his Seattle team in to face his former head coach, Jim Harbaugh. When I say former head coach, remember, McDonald at one point left the Baltimore Ravens staff for 1 year in 2021 to serve as Jim's defensive coordinator at Michigan. Seahawks defense, now under McDonald and Aiden Durde, went into LA and just overwhelmed the Chargers offense. Pair of 3-and-outs to start the game using their defensive starters. Of course, the Chargers are without Justin Herbert, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. Nonetheless, I think mission accomplished for the Seahawks defense and for Mike McDonald in terms of how they want to get things going defensively, how they want to attack people, put people in 2nd and 8 and 3rd and 6 by slowing down or shutting down completely the run game, and Mike McDonald being able to put them in that blender where there's so many different coverage options that the players on his team can run efficiently, that it really puts offenses in a bind because they have no idea what coverage is coming, no idea who's blitzing. The starters for the Seahawks only played 6 snaps. I think 2 of them played 8 snaps. Boye Mafe played about 20 snaps, which was interesting to me. They definitely played fast. I think you see it on the film. One thing to note is when the Chargers were in base personnel, this is actually Jumbo 21, so you've got a 6th offensive lineman and a tailback, and then 1 tight end. The Seahawks are responding with their base defense, and you've got Devin Witherspoon as the left corner, and of course Tariq Woolen as the right corner. When the Chargers go to 11 personnel, which you'll see here in a moment, meaning 1 running back and 1 tight end, Seattle responded with 3 corners on the field. They bring on Trey Brown. Well, Witherspoon goes from being the left outside corner to the nickel corner, the 3rd DB, the nickel slot, if you want, or the slot corner, if you want to say. They did that last year, don't get me wrong, but it's a really talented group of guys, if you ask me, to get on the field together, particularly Woolen on the right, and then Witherspoon in the slot, basically trying to take away whoever your best slot receiver is. He's a fantastic athlete, great against the run, great against the pass. For me, this is fun to watch because I covered or tried to cover the Ravens for 2.5, 3 years from a film study standpoint. Always been a Ravens fan. So I think I know enough about Mike McDonald's defense that I can just watch the game here one time, the Seahawks-Chargers preseason game one time. I didn't watch it live. And then give you some analysis or some of the things that I see. This is possession 2 here, by the way. Always been a big Boye Mafe fan. Uchenna Nwosu, I think, is really underrated. As a Ravens fan and content creator who saw the progression of Monken's defense, like I said, I'll let this play flow through one more time. Shows you the closing speed of Tariq Woolen. I'm excited to see how effective or potentially dominant these guys can be. This is Woolen here closing. I think it's DJ Chark on the backside. On the flood concept, Woolen with a near interception. I can only imagine, however, as excited as I am to see, well, I wasn't excited to see Mike McDonald go. None of us were as Ravens fans. We wanted him to stay at least another year, but after the historic season that the Ravens defense had in 2023, difficult to fathom. I can only imagine how Seahawks fans feel. You got a new head coach who replaced a legend, obviously, in Pete Carroll. McDonald hired Aiden Durde, the UK native, who's a first-time defensive coordinator in terms of the NFL with the Seahawks. I'm interested to see what they're going to run. It's a great fit here by, I think it's Tyrell Dotson on the backside, staying on the backside hip of the running back, tempoing the cutback. We know what McDonald has. We know that what he can run, and he can teach a defense to run multiple coverages, to be extremely versatile, such that they confuse and disrupt offensive flow, and including quarterbacks, some of the best quarterbacks there are in the league. The install and the implementation of McDonald's defense, I know, is sharp. I have no idea what it's been like in Seattle, what the coverage has been about it in terms of media or other content creators. I know this. They'll be efficient on defense. They'll be multiple, and they'll be able to hide or disguise coverages for a really long time, such that the quarterback has got to process things post-snap and allow the pass rush to get there with a little bit more consistency than you would otherwise see. I can only use the Ravens numbers to explain that to you. I think 43 and then 60 sacks in the last 2 years. So 103 sacks between 2022 and 2023. Maybe I'm a little off there. Maybe it's 98 sacks. You feel free to go back and check it. But point is, there was definitely an uptick in sacks and pressure from four-man rushes. How? Was it the fact that those four guys rushing were just better than everybody else? Well, no, not in every case. Oftentimes, it was an inside linebacker and 3 D linemen, or a nickel safety, an inside linebacker, and 2 D linemen. You never know who is blitzing. Mike McDonald has taught multiple plays to the defense, and I think Durday is going to be, the guy who gets the credit. They'll execute it. They'll execute it consistently. In year 1, how long is it going to take? Week 3, week 4, week 6? I'm not sure, but I do know that the system it works. The Seahawks have the talent to implement it, to make it work. This is third possession here, by the way. You can see Trey Brown is still on the field. Woolen is off, and Wosu is off as well. Boye Mafe still on the field. Kobe Bryant is in as one of the safeties. One thing to note, this is a preseason game, first of all. It won't reflect what I'm going to try to describe to you as a Seahawks fan, but I've suspected this since I'm letting the same play flow through here to try to time up my overall point. I've suspected this since like week 4 or 5, 2022, that McDonald has things built into the defense to mitigate risk. I want to get this thought out there for Seahawks fans. Maybe you've heard other people explain it, maybe not. I have done so in Ravens content before. The brilliance of his defense isn't just what they do, meaning all the different coverages, all the blitzes, and all the schemes. I'm basically going to try to tie this into why I think he played starters for 2 series together. It's not just what they do. It's not just when they'll call each play. They're very multiple, but also unpredictable in each part of the field. I think there is some built-in elements of player recognition on the field, meaning they're not just trying to get in the right call, the perfect call for each situation or each formation. I think they're trying to avoid the wrong one. I'm wondering if that's part of the reason why the Seahawks chose to play so many of their defensive starters in the first preseason game. I'm sure McDonald and other guys have given their reasons, and I'm sure those are the actual legitimate reasons. I'm offering to you, and perhaps I'm not explaining it well. It could be way off here. In the 2 years in Baltimore, McDonald's defense was exceptional at not getting beat by the big play, not giving up big gains. They were exceptional at being in, maybe not the best look every single time, but they were exceptional at not being in the wrong look. Really, after his defense blew a fourth quarter lead against the Dolphins early in the 2022 season, I think it was week 2 at home, maybe it was week 3 at home, but nonetheless, they blew a fourth quarter lead to the Dolphins. Really disappointing, and we as Ravens fans were pissed off, quite frankly, because we looked like the same type of defense that we had seen give up big plays in the pass game. I have to say, thereafter, his defenses were almost always in either the perfect call or a really good call, and they're very rarely in a bad one. Very rarely in a bad look that opened them up to the possibility of giving up a big play. And that's my point here in making this video, to try to tie this for Seahawks fans. I'll even go this far. There was a point in time in 2023, talking about week 7, week 8, week 9 turn, where the Ravens dismantled the Lions at home. A very good Detroit Lions team. I think it was quite obvious even at that time. Then go on the road to play the Cardinals the very next week, and a disappointing game, in my opinion. Come home to play the Seattle Seahawks, that you guys, if you're still listening at this point, knew that team obviously very well, and really took them to the woodshed as well. After that game, myself and 2 other coaching friends had a conversation, a long conversation. If you recall, what was happening at Michigan, last year, 2023, the sign stealing controversy, which has been proven they were doing so. We speculated, myself included, I almost worried, is there something happening here such that the Ravens are always in the right call? Well, I didn't really think that was happening. My point in telling you that story, between myself and two coaching friends, probably an hour and 20-minute discussion about how you could do it in the NFL, how they did it in college. Of course, everybody talked about it last year with Michigan. And sign stealing's been going on for decades, probably 100 years. But that's how efficient, that's how little risk there seemed to be in so many of the defensive coverages / blitzes that Mike McDonald played. Now, are there going to be times where they bring heavy pressure and they play man or cover zero? Sure. Oftentimes, you're going to see blitz pressure and a zone defense behind it. Zone blitz, if you will, 3 deep, 3 under. I certainly don't think that Mike McDonald and the Ravens staff were doing some of the same things that Michigan's staff were doing. I do not suspect that at all. My point in telling this story and having that thought in the first place in 2023 was that's how exceptional they are at not giving up big plays and forcing offenses to execute up and down the field with multiple 6, 8, 10-yard gains and converting multiple 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 5s. The key is shutting down or stopping or slowing down the run game, putting teams in those 3rd and 6s that are low percentage. And I think Mike McDonald right now and the Seahawks have the perfect amount of talent to get it done. The inside linebackers played, I think, quite well in the 2 possessions that they were on. You guys will have to let me know if you enjoy me talking about the game and breaking down some elements of the play here. This is generally commentary. And some of the thoughts that I had related to how Mike McDonald must be teaching his defense to avoid getting the wrong call and opening themselves up to manipulation by the offense and possibly giving up big plays. Appreciate you guys' time. I will do a film study video on Boye Mafe because he's one of my favorite young outside linebacker / edge defenders in the NFL. If you'd like to see more film study videos about the Seahawks, please let me know in the comments section. Appreciate you guys' time.